Good afternoon, madam. And கேட்கலையே.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam. Um, we will start the next session, madam.
So shall I start?
Yeah. You will start presenting.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, madam. Thank you.
So a very good afternoon to all the participants, and thank you for coming for the second session. Thank you so much. We'll start with the second session. I think we can wait for another minute because it's only 29. Okay, by then I'll start presenting. In the morning, we talked about the different words that we generally use. That is data science, machine learning, and AI. And in this session, we'll have a short introduction to ML for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we will start with Python because that was remaining from the previous session. So we'll first continue with that. We'll finish off with machine learning and then we will start with Python. So I again welcome you all to the second session of the FDP. So we had started with the machine learning and we talked about that machine learning is basically making the machine learn to do the things which humans are doing in the same way. I want the machine to behave in the same way as human beings do. That is what AI is all about, artificial intelligence, introducing intelligence onto machines and asking and as expecting them to work in the same way as human beings do. And machine learning is a part of AI that we have already seen in the previous session also. Like this is AI and we have this as ML and then another block as this as deep learning. So it is something like this. And we also said that, okay, machine learning, data sciences is this. So this corresponds to data science because it may or may not involve the processes of AI, ML, and etc. And it may also involve the processes of statistics, or it may go for visualization tools and so on. So this is all AI, ML, and deep learning. So ML is a part of AI, and it is supposed to make machine learn as we do learn, and we learn from past experiences also. Like for example, if you want to go from A to B, these are the two. We want to go from the source to the destination, and there are various paths of going from here to here. There are various paths, and one day you took one path. One day you took a path small a, another day you took a path small p, another day you took a path small c. In this you took some 5 minutes, in this you took 6 minutes, in this you took 5.5 minutes. So from this you could realize that okay, it is best to take the path A, and you will continue taking this path A. So from where did you learn this? With your experiences. You went from source to the destination, and with the experiences you realized that okay, this path is the one which should be used everywhere. I sincerely request all the participants to please mute their mics. Okay, so we decided upon to choose this path because it was taking the minimum time, or it can be two ways. Either I am going for a distance, that the distance is less, or I can go for the time. So depending upon our priorities, we can choose that whichever we want. We want less distance or we want less time. And this we can learn on the basis of the experiences. So we had started with this, that traditional programming talks about taking the input as data and program and getting the output. And machine learning says you take the program, you want the program as the output. What should be the program to get this desired output? So for this, we go for P, T, and E, that is a performance, task, and experience. Like for example, if you want to go for face recognition, so face recognition is my task. Okay, what will be E? E would be the set of databases. Yeah, I'll say, okay, this is Jack, this is Jacqueline, this is Maria, this is anyone else, and this is Rahul, something like this. So this is my database. This is nothing but my experience. And what would be the performance? The performance would be how many number of faces I was able to recognize correctly. Like suppose I was given 100 new faces, and out of which 20 faces I was not able to recognize and 80 faces I was able to correctly recognize. So what is my performance? 80% is my performance. This is P, T and E. So on the basis of the experience and on the basis of my task, I can calculate my performance. Now, if my performance is 80%, I am not satisfied with 20%, I will do more training. I'll train the model all the more so that I get a percentage of 90% as my accuracy. That is, I'll give more data set to it. Or I can do more training for the data set. These terms which I'm using, training, more data set, that these terms would be more used in corresponding sessions in the FDP. And probably you'll get the answer also to these questions, that what is training, what is testing, and so on. So we were talking about this, that these are the 6 phases which are there. Data gathering is actually taking the data from the from wherever you want, depending upon your task. Suppose my task is face recognition. So again, I really request, please mute your mics. Please mute your mic. Okay. So on the basis of my task, I need to gather the data accordingly. Like suppose my task is face recognition. I want to recognize the faces of the people. So what should be my data? The data should be the faces, isn't it? Or if I am going for handwritten recognition, handwriting recognition, then the data should be handwritings. Many data set of handwritings, text of handwritings. Or if suppose if I want to go for image classification, so I should go for images of. If I want to classify that whether this is an image of a cat or a dog, then I should have a lot of images of cats and a lot of images of dogs. That is my data. So I should be knowing that from where to get that data. There is a site, Kaggle. Kaggle. Let me show you this site first. It's a very useful site. It's a very useful site because it contains a lot of data. If you see, it has a lot of data sets. You can search for any data set you want. Suppose if I want to search for glaucoma data set, because I'm working on this currently, and I took the data set from here itself. So I searched for glaucoma, and you see, you get your glaucoma images. And if you try to click on these, you will get a number of glaucoma, and there is another glaucoma data set. Yeah, here it is. It consists of a lot of images. So you get the complete code and you get all these images, which you can actually download and use this code also for your reference. So Kaggle is a very, very beautiful site because it contains a lot of data sets, and for your practice, when you are not actually doing research onto a particular problem, then probably you will get all the data which you need from the site. Suppose if I want to go for the heart disease, I want to detect the disease, heart diseases. So for this also, that like this is a heart disease classification problem using machine learning. So here also you will get a lot of data set. You will get the complete code as well as the data set. Yes, but the code which is given here, you won't be able to actually execute this code like that. You should have the data in the same format so that it can be used by this code, and also this data should be in the same folder, same details. So like this, you can get your code done. So you can get a lot of data from this Chinese MNIST real estate data set, impact of COVID-19. A lot of data sets are available. So we were talking on this stage that how to take the data and how to prepare the data. Now, what is the preparation of data? Preparation of the data means you remove the inconsistencies, you remove the missing values, remove the redundant values. Suppose I have a data something like this. I have this data. Okay. And I had 1, 3, 5, 6, 5, something like this. And this was basically the serial. This was, I can say, semester. This was a semester, and this is something, you can say the room number. This is something, the room number. So this is a semester, but this value is missing. This value is missing. Since this value is missing, so my data is incomplete, and I will not be able to analyze this data properly. So I have to fill this value with some, this cell with some value. Either it can be 1, which is the same as the previous one, or it can be 3, which is the same as the next row, or it can be an average of these two, that is 2. So I can take any of the values. So I just have to fill these values. Then if suppose it is a redundant data, so I can remove this column completely, duplicate value. So all this needs to be taken care of while you are doing the data gathering and preparation. Exploratory data analysis is you are trying to find out the hidden patterns by using different algorithms and so on. And then you actually train the model. If you see this example, it says interviewer is asking a person what is 9 plus 10, and he says it is 3. Then he says, no, it is not even close. It should be 19. So then since there was a huge difference between 19 and 3, so it added some value to 3 and came up with 16. Again, it says, no, it is 19. Again, it added something to get 18. And then, no, it's 19. And then finally, it came up with the value of 19. Okay, so this is nothing but learning. And you are trying to make the machine learn on the basis of your desired output. What was your desired output? 19. I wanted to have 19. So I will fine tune my parameters. I will try to change my algorithm, or I will try to change some of my parameters so that I actually get the value as 19. Okay. If you see this example also, I have this data and this is my fine tuning part. I'm trying to dig into it and do some modifications onto the input data, do something so that I get the desired output, the answers. If you see the slide, here also we discuss the same thing. That is, I have the output, I have 19 as the output. Now I have to come up with a program so that I get 19 as an output. You remember solving such questions? Solving such questions in your early days, in your class 1 and in fact lower than that, and you were supposed to give the operator here. So at once you will say, okay, the operator should be plus. Then only I'll get this as the desired output. So you got the data, you got the output, and you have to give this program how to get this 11. So you are fine tuning your things, you are changing the parameters, you are doing something. You cannot change the data. I cannot change 5 and 6. I cannot change the data. I can only change the operator to get the desired output. Then there is something which is known as overfitting and underfitting of a model. So let me go back to Paint for this. See, I have this and I have some points like this. These are my points. These are my data sets. You can say data points. Okay. So there are two ways of drawing a graph connecting all these points. Either I can go ahead and draw a straight line like this, and I then find out the difference or error. So this point actually lies on the line. So here the error is 0. Okay. At this point of time, in this case, the error is 0. But for this, and for this, there is some error. And how do you calculate this error? You calculate this error by the distance it has from the one which I have predicted. So you find out this distance. 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 This distance, this distance, and this distance. And then you will find out what is the actual error. So the equation of the line is nothing but y is equal to mx plus c, and this is nothing but in fact the linear regression. Okay. What is this? This is linear regression. You have the values of x. You have, suppose you have some data of x and y. Suppose you have the values of x and y. So you say x, y, x is 1, y is 1, x is 2, y is 3, something like this. And I suppose I take one more value and I say x is equal to 3, y is 6. So if I try to plot this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 1, 1, I get this point. Let me take a different color. I get this point. Then 2, 3, I get this point. and 3, 6, I get this point. Okay. So this is the values which I get. From this, I can find out M and C. I can get two equations. I can say 1 is equal to M plus C, and the another equation is equal to y 3 is equal to 2M plus C. I can solve these simultaneous equations and get the values of M and C, isn't it? So when I get the values of M and C, can I have this sort of a line? So this is nothing but linear regression. So I'll get some equation of a line. Y is equal, and since it is a line, so it would be somewhere like a straight line. If I would have taken a curve, I would have taken something like this: mx squared plus cx plus c naught, yeah, c1, something like this. So then I would have got a curve. Okay, so depending upon what is the type of accuracy you want, you can either have a line or you can have a curve and so on. Okay, so what are these two parameters? These two are unknowns, M and C. As and when I change the values of M and C, I'll get a different equation. I can get this line, or I can get a this line, or I can get a this line, I can get a this line, depending upon the values of M and C, isn't it? So these M and C are basically my parameters. So when I'm saying that I fine tune my parameters, it is something like I fine tune these values so that I get my desired output. Now, how to find out the desired output? Suppose I want to find out the value of y when x is equal to 4. I have these values. X is equal to 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 6. Now I want to find out the value of y when x is equal to 4. Okay. So I from this line I'll get a different value of y. From this line I'll get a different value of y. From every, I hope it is audible and visible. I hope this paint is visible.
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Thank God. Okay. Okay. So from this line of equation, from this line I'll get a different y. From this curve, I will get a different y. From this line, I'll get a different y. From this, I'll get a different y, and so on. Now, suppose I know the value of y. For x is equal to 4, y should be equal to, suppose, 7. And from this line, I am getting y is equal to 6.5, suppose. And from this line, I am getting y is equal to 5. Okay. So from this, I can find out the error. In this case, the error is 0.5. If x is equal to 7, y is equal to either 6.5 from one of the equations, or it can be 5 from one of the equations. So in this case, what is the loss? 2. In this case, what is the loss? 0.5. So definitely I'll choose this line, because in this case the loss is less. Got the point? This is nothing but linear regression. Okay. So why was I telling about the underfitting and the overfitting is, like, suppose I have taken this and these are my points. These are my points. If I draw something like this, taking each and every point into consideration, so it may happen that I'm able to cover all these data set, all these points on the data set, but if this is the point which I need to find out, this is not lying on this graph. So I'll have to predict the value of this. It may be wrong. And if suppose these are my points, and I don't plot a plot like this, I do it like this. So maybe I may get a less error. Okay. So this is known as overfitting of the model, which I'm trying to fit each and every point in the model. This is known as overfitting, and this is known as underfitting. Okay. Which is the extreme case of underfitting? This is the extreme case of underfitting. Whatever be the value of x, my y will always remain y is equal to 3. Whatever you give the value of x, I'm not going to change the value of y. This is an extreme case of underfitting. Okay, so overfitting is also bad for me, underfitting is also bad for me. So what we do is we try to make a balance between the two. Underfitting will always have low variance and high bias. Low variance, it is not varying at all. So it will have low variance and very, very high bias. And as I told you, the extreme condition is, if I take the value of x, like if I take the value of, the extreme condition is this. Whatever be the value of x, I'll say y is equal to 4. So this has very, very high bias and very low variance. So this is also wrong. And in the case of overfitting, it has a very high variance and a very low bias. This is also wrong. So what we do is we go in between these two. We want to have something in between. So what we do is we'll take this part, which is in between. It is neither underfitting nor overfitting. So this has medium variance and medium bias. Okay. So we try to concentrate our training model within this region, which has medium variance and medium bias. This I wanted to tell you about the about training the model. How do you train the model? And then there are different ways of evaluating the model, either by confusion matrix or etc. etc. So probably precision and recall. This would be covered in your subsequent classes when you will be doing your machine learning. So I'm just skipping this. So ML in a nutshell is basically the representation of the hypothesis in which you'll get the y is equal to mx plus c, something of this type. And then you need to find out the loss. What is the loss? And once the loss is more, then you try to optimize your model. As I told you, when the loss was 0.5, so now I want to reduce this loss to 0.2, 0.1, and so on. I want the loss to be this. So as and when you increase the loss, as in that way you increase your accuracy. Okay. So as I promised, I've taken only 20 minutes for this. I wanted to tell you something about the machine learning because you should have an idea what machine learning is all about. Then machine learning is of two types, supervised and unsupervised learning, that may be covered in your subsequent sections. Any doubts, any questions still here? Just let me know if you have any doubts or questions. What is bias? Bias and variance are two parameters on the basis of which you do the evaluation of your model, and they should be medium, bias and variance. From this you can find out that how well you are able to adjust your plot onto the data set. Either you can have a curve, or you can have a line, or you can have some way in which you are plotting your graph on the data set. So for that you have the variance and the bias, two parameters. Okay. What MC is? What is MC? I didn't get you. Machine learning. That is what I was telling from the past 20 minutes. Machine learning is making the machine learn in the same way as you do, making the machine perform the things as you do. Machine learning bias, also sometimes called algorithm bias or AI bias, is a phenomenon that occurs. You are giving me the answer, or you are asking me a question? You copy pasted from the net. So what do you want? You want an explanation of this? Sarabjit Prasad sir? Oh, you you were giving the answer. Thank you so much. Anything else? Any other questions? We can wait for another couple of minutes. So if you have any questions on machine learning, data science, AI, deep learning we have not discussed as yet, because then that is a different story altogether. It's related to artificial neural networks. So data science, data analytics, and machine learning, AI, underfitting. Okay. As I told you, underfitting, the extreme example of underfitting is this. Let me have a new file. extreme example of underfitting is these are my X and Y points. Okay, these are my points. I want to plot a graph on this. Okay, I want to train a model, and I say this is my line. What is this line? Y is equal to 3. What is the equation of this line? Y is equal to 3, isn't it? So what I'm trying to tell you is I'm not considered about what should be the value of X. If X is equal to 1, Y is equal to 3. X is equal to 2, Y is equal to 3. Y is equal to X is equal to 3, Y is equal to 3, and so on. Whatever be the values of X, Y will always remain the same. So this is an underfitting of the model. My points are not covered by this line. Fitting the curve. Have you heard of the word fitting the curve? So I'm trying to fit the curve the best way. But it doesn't mean that I go for underfitting. Yeah, I go for overfitting. Fitting the curve doesn't mean I'm going for this, that I want to cover all these points. This is an extreme example of overfitting, that I have covered each and every point here. This is known as overfitting. I have tried cover each and every point, overfitting. And underfitting is I don't care whatever the point is, I just want a line. So we would like to have something which is in between. It is neither underfitting nor overfitting. So something like this I have taken a figure. So some of the points we were able to touch, and some of the points we were not able to touch. So we can find out the loss for that. Got it? Chitranjan sir, bias and variance you cannot calculate it over here. These are the two parameters on the basis, like when you do the machine, when you do it statistically through maths, then you can find out the variance and bias by different equations. So you will calculate your equations for variance and bias. Yeah, it can be both supervised and unsupervised. Not exactly, Kusumlata ma'am. 100% accuracy doesn't mean it is overfitted model. Overfitting model says that I have covered each and every point, but prediction cannot be 100%. In fact, people say that overfitting of the model is very, very bad. You won't get good answers. You won't get good predictions. Okay. Okay, I'll tell you. You people are very about supervised and unsupervised learning. I'll tell you one thing. Supervised learning is if I have the labeling of the data. Like suppose I have 3 triangles like this. I have triangles and I have squares like this.
Organizers, can you please check? It's stuck. No, this happened means they noticed, right? Nene unmute. Anyway, it moved అంటే వాళ్ళు అక్కడ రియలైజ్ అయినారని నేను అనుకుంటే ఎవరు వచ్చిన మనీష్ నేగి వాడు అంతకాయ కరెక్ట్ 50% of them ఊరికే సర్టిఫికేట్ రాని అని చెప్పి జాయిన్ అవుతారు బికాస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నెసెసిటీ ఆఫ్ ACTE that you must do some courses in between, at least minimum 2 per head you have to produce. This I am going because I am interested. Otherwise, naturally, everybody will go for something which is related to them. If you see there in the list, hardly there will be five, six mechanical people. The rest all are electronics and computer science students. They didn't tell me to do this. They say you have to do minimum 2 in under the program.
Oh, I just realized that the network was lost. So sorry. Till when were you able to hear me? Can anybody let me know?
Yes, madam, we are able to hear you.
नहीं कहाँ तक आप सुन पाए? Till when? अच्छा, supervised and unsupervised you were able to do it?
Yeah, ma'am, square and the rectangles. That's
Okay.
what the last sentence we had.
Were you able to hear about supervised and unsupervised learning?
Madam, you had lost your connection after that, and that's why we are not able to hear you.
You were
Ma'am,
about
you
to
are
tell,
telling
ma'am.
overfitting, underfitting.
अच्छा, ठीक है.
To explain supervised, unsupervised, you went for taking example of triangles and squares.
Yes, sir.
Then paint. That time it got struck. It looks like you are freezed again.
Yeah.
Now it has come again, I suppose.
Yeah, ma'am, you are about to tell about the supervised and unsupervised learning, and you just started the example of that triangle and squares, and when
Okay.
you draw just 2-3 triangles, then the video got freeze.
Okay. I'll do it again. So this was a thing which I wrote so many.
On my side again, the video is freezing, ma'am.
Yeah, something is wrong. I'll go with the hotspot. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll connect it through my mobile data then in that case. Okay, I hope now it would be fine. Okay. So if you see here, we were just trying to find out what is supervised and unsupervised learning. So I have 3 triangles. I have some triangles like this. And I have some squares. Okay. And I term them as this is a triangle.
Your screen is not shared.
Please present your screen.
Okay. Okay. Now is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I have some of the triangles like this, and I name them as these are triangles. And I have some squares, and I'll name them as these are squares. Okay. I'll go for feature extraction and say, okay, these figures, which are known as triangles, have a black in color and have 3 lines. And these figures, which are called as squares, are 4 lines having green in color. So what I'll do is, I'll make this as one set and make this as another set. This is nothing but classification. And classification is a problem of supervised learning. Why do we call it as supervised learning? Because I have told you that this is a triangle and this is a square. I'm telling you, I'm supervising you for this. This type of teaching in which I am telling you what to do and what not to do is supervised learning. And if I have just told you that, okay, you go ahead and study supervised learning on your own, then that becomes unsupervised learning. Okay, so this is nothing but classification in which I am forming two classes, and I'm naming this class as triangle and I'm naming this class as square. Now there can be another scenario in which I have these triangles and I have these squares, and in this case I have not mentioned anything. So again I'll go for feature extraction. Can everybody please mute their mics? I request everyone to please mute your mics. Because online teaching in itself is a big thing. Because I'm repeating the same part again. I really request you all to please mute your mics. Thank you. So now if I again come to this part, so I'll go for feature extraction and say, okay, these figures have blue in color and 3 lines, and these figures have 4 lines and purple in color, and let them put into 2 different sets, one set and one set, and we call this as clusters. We call this as clusters because this is unsupervised learning. I have not given you any labels. I have not told you that this is a triangle and this is a square, but on the basis of the features you have extracted, you have turned this into one set and this into one set. And you can very well differentiate between the properties of this and this, because this has 3 lines, this has 4 lines, this is blue in color, this is purple in color. So if you get a new figure like this, so you will first compare it with this, then you will compare it with this, and you will find that, okay, this is resembling this, so why not put it into this set, and you get this as in this set. Okay, so these are the 2 types of machine learning, supervised and unsupervised learning. And in the due course of time, in the 4 days of your workshop, you will get to know more about these 2 technologies. At this point of time, we can stop talking about machine learning now and switch to Python. So if you have any questions, we can take them quickly. And then we will start with Python. Underfitting and overfitting can be avoided by taking the correct form of parameters. As I told you, bias and variance, you need to take care of that. Actually, what happens is, it all depends at the time of implementation. It depends upon the epochs, how many times of epochs or iterations you're going to do. The more number of iterations or more number of epochs means more number of trainings, and that is more overfitting. So you really need to come up with some value which is in between. It is neither underfitted nor overfitted. So we generally go for 20 epochs or 30 epochs, because that is more than sufficient. But even if you are not getting the correct accuracy, you can increase the number of epochs. But that will lead to overfitting of the model. Actually, what happens is the plot of the graph is something like this. It's there on the slides also, I think. Yeah, it is like this. So earlier it will happen that your loss is getting reduced, but at one point of time it goes for overfitting. Here it goes for overfitting, and your at this point of time it is overfitting. Here it is overfitting, and your accuracy will again start reducing. The error rate is going to increase. So you have to stop at this point of time, and this is nothing but trial and error. This is to find out the minima, the optimum result at which you are getting neither underfitting nor overfitting. And it is done only by trial and error, no other method. Anything else? Okay, so we'll start with Python. We'll do it on Colab. So just go to Google. Go to Google and write Google Colab. It will ask you your credentials. Give your credentials and probably you will come to the screen. It will take a little time because it is through the internet. It will all depend your internet speed. Now, since I have been connected with the mobile data, so it may take some time. So you should come to the screen. Just search Google Colab and come to the screen after giving your Gmail credentials. Once you are here, please let me know. I request again everyone to please mute their mics. Somebody is speaking. I am not sure everybody is muted, but I am getting some noise. Yes, sir. All are muted. If you are done till here, please let me know. I have received only one response. Google Colab. Unable to go, Swapnil, sir. Okay. So if you come here, this is nothing but a cloud which is given by Google on which you can actually code your Python programs. Now what happens is, like somebody asked also, like they are having a very small space and the data is very huge. So in such cases, when you are solving any machine learning problem, then you should have your data in your RAM. So your RAM should be very high to execute any machine learning program. And for this, you should have a very high-end configuration laptop or computer, which is not very easy. It's very costly also and not very easy to achieve that. So Google has come up with a cloud, which is known as Google Colab, on which you can store your data, save your data, and then run your Python programs, run your machine learning programs directly onto that data. So this gives you that flexibility that even if you don't have that much of configuration of computer, you can execute your machine learning programs on your desired data set. Okay. So Google Colab is one such thing. Now, secondly, what are the properties of Python? Python is an object-oriented language. So let's talk about the properties. It's first of all, it's an object-oriented language. Object-oriented language, so it will have classes, it will have objects, it will have all the properties of object-oriented language like inheritance and polymorphism, encapsulation, information hiding, data hiding, and so on. So it will have all the properties of object-oriented programming. Secondly, it is interpreted language. Now, what is the meaning of interpreter? Whenever you want to execute your code, you have to convert your high-level language code to a machine-level language code. For doing this, either you can use an interpreter or you can use a compiler. If you are using an interpreter, then the translation is done line by line. You convert your high-level language code to machine-level language code line by line. You first convert your first line into machine language, then you convert the second line into machine language, and so on. Okay? So, and compiler, what it does is it converts the complete program at one go. So if you have 100 lines of code, so the entire 100 lines of code is converted from C++ or C or Java or Python to machine level language. What is that machine level language? Zeros and ones. Then only you can go ahead with the execution part. So you have to convert your high level language code to zeros and ones. And this is done by the compiler or the interpreter. Interpreter does it line by line, so it is easy to debug. Suppose you convert the first line and there was an error, you will get the error there and then. So it is easy to debug the program if it is interpreted. If it is compiled, then you will get a list of errors. On second line, this is the error. On fourth line, this is the error. On seventh line, this is the error. And you have to rectify the errors one by one to complete the execution of the program, compilation of the program, in fact. So this is an interpreted language. And the most important is command line interpreter. Command line interpreter is, suppose if you are writing the code, so you first have to compile the code, execute the code. And if you're writing a C++ code, then some of the lines like hash include stdio. Yeah, if it is a C++ code, it will be hash include iostream .h. Then you will write int main like this, and then you will write a program and this. So these 4 lines of code have to be present. If these 4 lines are not present, you won't be able to execute your code, isn't it? And in fact, return 0 is also there. You have to write this also. So these 4 lines of code have to be there to execute a simple cout statement. Suppose I like this. For this also, I'll have to write this much of code. It is not possible to do it only with 1 line of code. But Python gives you that flexibility that if you write only 1 line, your task is done. Okay, so command line interpreter, it is an interpreted language, it's an object-oriented language, and most importantly, it is a user-friendly language. It's a very, very user-friendly language. You will, Python is the easiest language to learn. It has a very, very user-friendly syntax. You have to have a semicolon in C, C++, and Java, all the 3 languages, but Python doesn't support that. So it's very easy to learn syntax and very, very user-friendly. So if you see this, suppose in the same part, if I want to print anything, the print is a command by which I can go ahead and print my name. This is there for execution. Those who are already from computer science background or have already learned about Python can go ahead and use Anaconda. They can use the Jupyter Notebook, or they can use Anaconda. They can use PyChart, PyNorm, PyTorch, anything. I'm just talking about the IDE on which you are going to work. What is an IDE? IDE is Integrated Development Environment. So IDE is nothing but Integrated Development Environment. This can be anything. It can be PyTorch, or it can be Colab, or it can be this Jupyter. It can be anything on which you can write your Python program. I'm using Colab to write your Python program so that you don't have to install any software or anything. So you just write this and click on this. This is for execution. As soon as you click on this, it will execute and print Puja. You are doing it for the first time, it may take some time because it is going on to the cloud, giving the request on the cloud, and you're getting the result from the cloud. So it may take some time on the first instance, but later on it will be fine. You can go to the new notebook. I have not shared any files, Swapnil sir. See, Puja is printed. Then in this Python, variables variables are very easy. You have 4 data types, as you have in the rest of the languages. You have the data types as integer, float, strings, and boolean, which are generally used. These are the 4 types of data types which are generally used. So let's see all of them. I can have int. I don't have to, in fact, mention that it is an integer, it is an integer, or it is a float, or it is a string. I don't have to mention all this. As and when I give the value, if I say I is equal to 10, so it will automatically say I is an integer. I can print the type of I, and it will print that it is an integer. I can also print I as well. It will first say that it is an integer. It's an integer and the value is 10. I can say 10.45. So then it would be a float. See, it is a float. Or I can go ahead and say I is equal to Pooja. Then I would become a string. See? Or I can give it a Boolean value like this. Then it will become a Boolean value. Got it? So easy. In C++ and C, in fact, in C, it creates a lot of problems in defining the data members and giving the values to those data members. If you are assigning a character to a integer value, it will give you an error, or vice versa. So many errors you get in C. But in Python, it is very easy. So that is why I told you it is very, very easy. It's user-friendly. I'm opening the screen again and again to get your doubts or questions if you have. Can anybody share me the YouTube link for the current session so that I can get the questions from there as well? Swapnil sir, it is not looking easy. It is easy. Don't worry. It's very, very easy, in fact. Python is very easy and anyone can understand it. Thank you so much, Pranjul. Because I just wanted to check if you have any doubts or questions on the YouTube channel as well. Till here, there wasn't any doubt. 6 people are watching it online. Okay. So let me copy paste that code for me. I'm closing it over here. Is it done till here? Any doubts? I don't think. Okay. Next, whenever you are having any language, whenever you are in fact learning a language, first thing you learn is the data types. Second, you learn is the this conditional statement and the loop statement. And then finally the methods or a function. So these are the 4 things that you have to learn for any language. Any language for that matter. If you want to do core programming, suppose if I ask you to take a name from the user and print it, simple core programming, or you print the table of 10. So for these types of questions, you just need to have the data types, the conditional statements, the loops, and the functions. So in this particular session on Introduction to Python, we'll be covering these 4 types. Now, since I have started from the very beginning, it's almost next to impossible to cover NumPy, Pandas, and sklearn. These are the 3 libraries of Python. NumPy, I'll just write it down for you. NumPy, Pandas, and sklearn. So these are the 3 libraries which are used with Python for machine learning. NumPy is used for numerical things because it converts a data set into a array, and then you can perform different operations on the arrays. Pandas is used to get your data set in the form of a table, and then you can perform certain operations onto it. And sklearn has a lot of data sets with it, and the training and the testing and all is done with the help of sklearn. Okay. So in this particular session, we'll be doing the introduction to Python, and next we have the conditional statements, if then else. So if then else is fairly easy, as we do have in different languages. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is, if let's take a value I is equal to 20, if I is greater than 20, suppose if I write I is greater than 10. So you don't have any brackets in Python. See it very, very carefully. Please, all the participants, see it very carefully. You don't have brackets in Python. You do it with the help of colon. As soon as you write a colon, it becomes very clear that I'm going to start a block of code. I'm going to start a block of code. So as soon as you enter, you see there is an indentation. This is an indentation. So this indentation specifies that I'm going to start a block of code. So I press enter, and whatever you write inside this block of code would be inside the if statement. So I'll say print I is less than 10, print variety, and then else. Again, I'll start a block of code and say print I is not less than 10, and I want to print one more statement as future. Can anybody tell me what will be the output of this program? If I execute this, then what should be the output of this program?
I is not less than 10, Puja.
Very good. Both the statements would be printed. Very good. So if I execute this, both the if I is greater than 10. Sorry, you have given the wrong statements. This is printed because this condition is satisfied.
Madam, I is greater than 10, if 20 is greater than 10, then yeah, it has to be first statement. Perfect,
So
madam.
if the condition is true.
Yeah.
This condition is true. So this is actually true. I is equal to 20. So it is definitely greater than 10. Since it is greater than 10, so these two sentences are printed. If I make this, then these two statements would be printed. Okay? Who was giving me the answer?
I am Amar Ekal, madam.
Amar sir. So have you got that idea that it was a false? Okay.
Yeah. It is true and false. So
Yes.
yes.
So this is basically the true. If it is true, then it will come here. If it is false, it will come here.
Yeah, surely.
Then the second thing that is important is to take the input from the user. Taking the input is fairly easy. I'll simply say k is equal to input. This is the message that you would like to show. Please enter a number. And I can say print the number entered is k. That's it. It will ask me, please enter a number. I said 34. Let's say the number entered is 34. Now, if I want to add 2 to this, I'll say k is equal to k plus 2. It is going to give me an error. Let's see. Since it is an interpreted language, so it will first execute the first statement, second statement, and then it will give an error if there is. So I'll again say 23. It prints 23, and then it gives the error because the error has to come in this line. Why is there an error? Because by default, whenever you are taking a value from the user, it is always a string. Must be a string, not int. Okay. So whenever you are taking the value from the user, it becomes a string. So k is a string. If you want, we can print the type of k. K is a string. So what we have to do is we have to do typecasting. Typecasting is easy to do. Either I can go for a different variable is equal to int of k, and then if I want to print the type of p, it will say it is an integer. See, now it is an integer. Or I could have done it here itself. I could have done it directly here when we are taking the value from the user. So in this case, it would be an integer. See? Okay? So I'm giving you a question to do. Take a number from the user and print its value multiplied by 10. Try doing it. I'll give you only 2 minutes for this because next we have to do loops also. Okay, Shiva sir, perfect. Done? Great. Okay. Now we'll take the loops. The most commonly used loops, and the one with this you can go to the different code block pressing on plus code. Okay. We can add yeah, loops is the most commonly used loops is for and the while loops, which we have in C, C++, and Java. And the purpose is also the same for I in range ten. Suppose if I write this, so this is similar to writing plus plus. Or in C, for I is equal to 0, I is less than 10, and I plus plus. So range means I'm taking it for a natural values, natural numbers. For I in range 10. Again, I will have a colon and I'll say print I. So what it will do, it will print the values from 0 to 9. Something went wrong. Could you do the for loop?
Yes, madam.
Okay. My speed has gone a little down. Yeah. So it has printed from 0 to 9. You can make certain modifications onto this. If I want to start from a different value, I can do it like this. And if I want to have steps, because I want 1, 3, 5, and so on, that also can be done. So if I do this, it will start from 1. Sorry, ulta. It will start from 1 till 9 because 10 is always excluded. So it will start from 1 till 9. Now you have already written a program to take a number from the user and print its value into 10. Now take a number from the user and print its table. Print its table in the standard format. 2 into 2 is equal to 4. 2 into 3 is equal to 6. Printed like this. Amar sir, can you please mute your mic?
Yes, madam.
Thank you. So take a number from the user and print its table. Print its table. Amit sir, you have assumed that you are taking the value, you are printing the table of 2. I'm saying take the number from the user and then print its table. If suppose the number is 8, then it will be 8 into 1 is equal to 8. 8 into 2 is equal to 16, something like this. So you are taking the number from the user and then printing its table. Got it? So how can we do it? We'll say I is equal to int input. Please enter a number. You also do along with me, please. Like this. It's simple 3-line code. It's a simple 3-line code. If you do it, then let me know onto the chat box if you have done that. Yes, Pranjal, it was absolutely correct. Yes, Shiva sir. Sarbjeet sir. Okay. I hope everybody is with me and everybody is able to do it also. Still it is breaking? You are not able to hear me properly?
No, madam, it is clear.
Okay, thank you. So my major concern is that is those who are doing it for the first time also are able to do the coding on Python. And the terror which is there for programming languages for people away from computer science background, remove that terror. Programming is really very easy, especially in Python. It's really very easy. Now, when I'm doing on Python, I really feel that why Python was not there in my times, because I started learning with basic language. Then I did Pascal, COBOL, and this was during the college times. And then C++, Java. So all these languages we have learned as a computer science engineer. So I really feel that why not Python was there earlier. It's so simple, so easy, without any syntactical errors, nothing there. So I really wish that all those people who have a terror of programming language is removed. It's very, very easy, and I guarantee you it will take only 10 days for even for those who have not done any programming in their lives. And for those computer science engineers who have done programming, computer science people, it will take hardly 5 days. Hardly 5 days to understand the language. Maybe you will not be able to write big programs of machine learning in 5 days, but definitely you will be able to do code programming in Python for sure. And for those who are doing it for the first time, it will hardly take 10 days. Exactly, Kedar sir, because we started with basic, COBOL, Fortran, Pascal. This we did in our engineering times. We did all the 4 languages: COBOL, Pascal, Fortran, C, and C++. And then later on, I started with Java and Python and so on. So Python is really very easy. In fact, I don't prefer teaching Python to the first year students, because if they will start learning Python as the first year language, then they are never going to praise the importance of C++ and C, because C is a very good language. With the help of C, you can do the hardware level programming, which is not available in Python also. But for code programming, for such types of codes, printing the tables, decision making, code programming, Python is very easy. Exactly, Pranjal. That is what I was trying to tell you, that if you start with C and C++, then Python is very, very easy for you. But if you do the other way around, if you start with Python, then you will never be able to do C and C++. Or you will never be able to appreciate the two languages. Java is a very versatile language, but then you will not be able to appreciate that language as well if you start with Python, because Python has a very, very flexible syntax. You don't have to have a data type, you don't have to have a semicolon. So all this is removed. Giving brackets is also not a problem, because in C, C++, and Java, all the three languages, maximum times you get errors in giving the brackets if you are not using an IDE. Because Java, when I started doing on Notepad, and in Notepad you have to have the brackets, proper brackets. So Python is really very easy, and I request all of you to please do the coding on Python. Don't stay away from it. Next, we'll do functions. Functions are again very easy. You will simply write def. Def is the keyword which tells the compiler that I'm going to start the definition of a function and give the name. That's it. Even if you have to write a parameter inside this, you don't have to mention the type of the parameter. You can simply give the name of the parameter. But suppose I want to have num as a parameter inside this, and then I can write whatever you want. I can say print num. So I'll first execute this function, and then I have to call the function. I'll say calling the function this. So it will print the value for me. Or I could have this inside this for j in range this, and let's print the value of this. It gives me the table of 30. Yeah, it has given me a table of 30. Then I can find out another one also, and it gives me a table of 90. I don't have to write int num, which is there in C, C++ or Java. I just have to mention num, and the basis of the type of the value, it will find out whether it is integer, character, float, etc. C gives a lot of errors in this. Whatever you are passing, it should be stored in the same way in which you are taking the values. But Python solves that problem as well. So now can you modify the previous program in which you were taking the number from the user and printing its table to put it inside a function? Write a function to take a value from the user and print its table. Now can you do this program? And again you modify, write a program to take the choice from the user. If it's 1, call the function to print its table. If it's 2, call the function to print its multiplied by 10. So we'll have two functions. There would be one function to print its table, and another function would be to print it multiplied by 10. So I have the function to printing the table. Let's define a function, fun1, num to print it multiplied by 10. Print num into 10 and execute this also. Okay. Have you got this question? Take a number from, take the choice from the user. If the choice is 1, then you will print its table. If not, then you will print its multiplied by 2. I am giving you a couple of minutes and then I'll give you the solution. Else print wrong choice. If it doesn't print 1 or 2, we should print wrong choice. Else if, and generally we don't write else if, we write elif. 1 and else print wrong choice. Right? And again, if you execute this, if suppose I say 2, it will ask me the number and it has printed it by multiplied by 10. And what is the last thing? If I give a different choice, it will ask to print a number and it will give you a wrong choice. Okay? In fact, this will come before than that. It should be like this. How to use tab from mobile on Collab? No idea. I have never done Collab on mobile. But you don't have to use tab actually. As soon as you press enter from the colon, it will automatically give you a tab. Tab is not required. I wanted to show you a COVID data set. So just give me 2 minutes. I'll show you a COVID data set. So if you can download this COVID data set from Kaggle itself, I showed you the Kaggle site in the morning. Like this is a Kaggle COVID data set. It tells the number of confirmed cases, deaths, and recoveries on the basis of the date. So on 22nd January, these were the numbers. If you go down, so on 1st of April, these were the numbers. The 137 were in China. Accordingly, I can go ahead and find out the values in India also. So at the time of preparation of the data, I have to do certain things. First of all, I'll have to filter this data on my country, India. So this is the first thing that I'm supposed to do, filter the data. Secondly, I'll have to remove the duplicates or remove the inconsistent data. Like in the months of March, January and February, there weren't much of the patients. So I can remove that data. I have to filter that data. I have to take the values only from March. So I just wanted to show you that code once. This is how you write it. And for datasets, I'll have to upload the dataset here on the left hand side panel. It is using NumPy, Pandas, and sklearn. That is why I won't be able to explain you the code at this point of time. You won't get a feel of that at this point of time because you have not known about NumPy and Pandas. So I have included the dataset here by clicking on this button. It's taking some time. So as soon as it is done, you will find the CSV file here. Okay. And then I can go ahead and perform certain operations onto it using the Pandas and NumPy. So as soon as I say I'm importing all these libraries, it is in the same way as we do hash include stdio.h. So I have included this file and I have started reading this file. Once you do this, then you can perform different types of operations. Here I am taking the values only for India. Okay. Then I am also filtering the data like this. I want only these columns. So I have taken only 5 columns. For me, latitude and longitude is of no value. So I am taking only latitudes. I have removed the latitude and the longitude part. I am taking only the deaths, the recoveries, and the confirmed cases. So this is that table. Only the 3 values for India. Then the date was in the string format. So I have to convert that string format into numbers. So here I have done that encoding. I need to convert the string into integer format. So now this is the date part. The date has been converted into 36, 37, 38, and so on. So it will give a unique number to your date, which is very much required. Then this is how to train the model. Whenever you are doing the testing and the training, you divide the entire data set into 2 parts. So generally we go for a 80-20 rule. 80% will go for training and 20% will go for testing. So we divide it into 2 parts. In this case, what I'm doing is 0.2. So 80% is going for training and 20% is going for testing. In this way, and only this is the code for linear regression. That's it. This is the exact code for this. This forms actually your fitting the model part. But all this before than that, this is all preparation and gathering of the data, which takes the maximum of your time. Trust me, since I have already worked upon machine learning data sets, most of your time would be utilized in getting the data. One of my student, a PhD student, she is working on speech recognition, speech identification basically. So from past 1 year, she is only collecting the data. Because application of algorithm is not a very big task. It will be done in a very short time. Most important part is collecting the data. So from past 1 year, and in fact, you won't believe that you can publish a paper on data also. If you have collected a good amount of data, you can publish a paper onto that also. Okay. So data gathering and preparation takes the major part of your thesis analysis and everything. And because application of a model is only a 4-line code. So in this way, you can plot your graphs. And then you can do the predictions accordingly. I can do the predictions and say that what should be the value of the confirmed cases after 10 days, or what should be the value of deaths after 20 days. But yes, as I told you in the stock market analysis, you cannot predict. Similarly, Corona also cannot be predicted. News says we are going to have a new hike in December. There would be a different peak in December. And currently, the number of cases have reduced drastically. Nagpur used to have 1,000 cases every day, and today we have only 192 cases. So the data is not very predictable. So for those things in which the data can be predicted, machine learning can be applied onto it. Or you can say that, okay, I predicted this on the basis of various parameters, and this much is accuracy. Sapna ma'am, you will have to do it on Collab only. You will have to upload your data set, or you can give the link of your drive. You can put it onto your drive and give the link of that drive. Or you can do it through your own Python also, which is installed onto your own machine. It will take time. Training always takes some hours, some 10 hours or 12 hours or something like that. So generally, what machine learning professionals do, they start their code in the night, and in the morning they will get the answer. So it definitely takes a lot of time. Okay. So we are almost at the end of our sessions. If you have any doubts or questions, I would love to answer them. I've already given you my email ID. You can shoot a mail also to me. Yes, it has. Parimal, sir, it has that facility. You can do it for, I think the limit is 10 hours only. If you see, this is your availability. This is your availability, and you have RAM, which is of around 12 GB, and you have disk, which is of about 107 GB. So Collab gives you for 10 hours, or suppose. No, Chitranjan sir, I don't have any sessions. These are the 2 sessions which I had for this FDP. Thank you so much. But I'm sure the rest of the speakers are much better than me. They would be great. Thank you so much. Yeah, sure. I'll give the email ID again. Thank you, Sapnil sir. Thank you, Darshana ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amanpal sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam.
Pranjal, sorry, I won't be able to share the code for the COVID part, but I will share all the slides.
Yeah. Many participants are asking slides, madam.
Yes, I today itself.
Okay.
Yes.
In WhatsApp
Thank,
group, they are asking you. That's it.
sir, WhatsApp group, I am not a member of it, I think.
No. You forward me, I will send it. No problem.
Sure.
Yeah. In mail, you forward, I will share
I'll
PPT.
send you a
Many
mail, sir.
participants are asking the PPT.
Yeah, sure. I'll send you PPT.
Okay, madam. Okay. The
Thank you so
sessions
much,
are
sir.
okay. Thank you, madam. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much for
Murgan sir,
sharing all.
thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you,
you, madam.
Murgan sir, once again, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much. And you confirmed this session way back in August. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yes. Okay, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, dear participants. Thank you so much for all the appreciation. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Stay home and stay safe. Thank you.